Hello, chart watchers and DecisionPoint faithful. Welcome to this Monday, October 25th, 2021 DecisionPoint show. I'm Erin Swenlin of DecisionPoint.com, and I'm here with my father, Carl Swenlin. And we want to prepare you for the week ahead. We'll give you an idea of what we're looking at as far as the markets go, and then we will zero in on a few topics. How is everything going for you?
Pretty good.
It's pretty cold here today. I know we always talk about the weather and usually it's very boring in California, but we actually have a chance of rain, which is crazy. And it's just been really cold and windy. So I think we might have colder weather ahead too. All right, so let's see what we're going to talk about. We'll go over our SPY and indicators. Carl's going to look at that in depth for you. We're going to look at just then a candle glance of the sectors to get a feel for what is going on within them. Are they all positive? Is there problems? We'll see. I'm going to talk about Facebook and PayPal. This morning in the free trading room, a lot of chatter going on about Facebook and PayPal. We'll take a look at how Facebook is doing currently after hours, and we'll talk a little bit about PayPal and how that's doing. Then I'm going to dive into the utilities sector. This was my sector to watch last week. On Friday, I said we wanted to watch this sector going into the week. So I wanted to, just get another pulse on it to see if I still feel the same way. And then I'm going to cover my diamonds of the week. I do have 2 for you today, so you'll be able to take a look at those. Before we get started, I do want to tell everybody, I mentioned it there a little bit earlier, but I do a free trading room on Mondays from noon to 1 Eastern time. If you go in and sign up for our free newsletter, you will get information on how to register. There's also my picture there, looks very similar to this, and it's advertising the trading room. If you just click on that, that will get you registered. We send you notices about an hour before, so you can remember to come in and join us. It was a very lively one today. Let's go ahead and look at our sector scoreboard though, before I hand the reins over to you, Dad. So right now we only have 4 neutral signals on our scoreboard, and that is for the intermediate term trend model. The intermediate term trend model looks at the 20 and 50-day EMA silver crosses, the silver crossovers. And you can see we have silver crosses on pretty much all of these sectors, except for XLC, defensive areas, consumer staples, and healthcare, as well as utilities, all on neutral signals currently. But we'll look at some of those charts, and I do believe we're going to see some of those disappear here.
Yeah, XLP is going to go next, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll look at that chart for sure. I'm going to pass it to you though, and let's look at some of the market charts and see what you're thinking about it right now.
Okie doke. Sorry, I'm having a little difficulty here.
There it is.
Okay. I start out with the chart of Tesla. You see how they did really well today.
Yeah, full disclosure, I own that one.
You say you do?
Yes, I do.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, it was pretty
I'm guessing here, I don't know any of the news, but I'm looking at this top over here, and I'm thinking when it got past that level, we got a short squeeze. That's my best guess.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to the market, let's see. What we do every day is go through the same set of charts. And the whole idea is to give people a basic sense of the trend and condition of the market. And by looking at these same charts every day, you get a feeling of when things are changing and which way they're headed. So anyway, I thought Friday was going to be the all-time high, but today we made another one. Not so great on volume, but not pitiful either. A little longer term. Advanced decline line did make a new high today on the breadth. The volume is still lagging. And that's kind of been that way since June. New highs and new lows contracted today, which is not great for a new high day, an all-time high on the index. Let's see the silver cross on the S&P 3 moving up today on all of them. It looks like that. We're going to take a closer look. We still have this downtrend, but if this move continues, it's going to change. Climax assessment should mention, every day by the time we come on, we're really kind of parachuting in and taking a look around, a first look around. So we're sometimes surprised at what we find. I didn't expect to see climaxes today, and I don't see any. The bias assessment. Here we have the Silver Cross Index again, and it's at 58, which is a heck of a lot better than it was earlier this month. It was about around 40. That's a percent of stocks above, with their 20 above their 50. And breaking this down, we look at stocks above their 20 is 80%, and percent above 50 is only 71. That's upside down. And let me show you why. We have, here we go. Here's a stock, Salesforce.com, and it has a positive stack on the moving averages. We have the 20 above the 50 above the 200. Now, basically, the first thing that's going to break will be the 20. So you can get in this area, and you're still going to have more 50s than you will 20s. But moving to, let's see, the next, Amgen, I think is the one. Yeah. And here's a negative stack. The 200 is above the 50, which is above the 20. And you see what we have didn't particularly make it on this day, but you have when price breaks above this, it's still not in a bullish configuration. And it's, when it gets above the 50, then you're in a much more positive mode. So the best we can get at this point would be up to 71% of stocks on a silver cross. That's as good as it will get. The golden cross index, which is percent of stocks with the 50 above the 200 EMA, still at 82. It's been weakening, but it's still not at 82%. You still got a pretty strong backup there. Short-term indicators.
I was wondering if these were going to pull back again.
Yeah, this looks about even for today on the breadth, and volume was clicked down. These all have been overbought, and these are still overbought. I don't know what's coming. These won't update till later, these bottom two panels. But so you got everything in the short term is overbought. So usually that will bring us some kind of a pullback. ITBM, ITVM, these are intermediate term indicators. They ticked up again today, but as you can see, these indicators are based on the recent range are overbought. So intermediate term is overbought as well. Moving to Bitcoin today. We had another nice update today. What we have here is a classic rising trend breakdown, and then a bounce back towards the point of breakdown. So right now what we have is really a short-term head and shoulders pattern here. And PMO is pretty high and topping. So maybe this is done. Not much action here. A dollar was a little bit higher today. And gold was higher as well. So it was going against the tide and did fairly well. Not a giant move, but you know, it's funny, we got all these black candles, and that's where the price is closing below the open. And there's a lot of those. It's really, as I keep saying with gold, it's a torturous procedure as it limps higher. This is the gold miners, and it's got a nice steady rising trend here. It's about ready to get a silver cross. It's about 2 100ths away from that. I'm seeing overbought in the terms of breadth. Number of stocks above the 20 is at 100% right now, and 96% are above their 50. That's a nice way to be, and it can persist. So it's not necessary. It's overbought, but not necessarily as a negative.
Yeah, I like them. I like gold miners still.
And we have USO today was higher, but closed down in a rising wedge formation. We expect it to break down, but I don't expect any breakdown to be heavy duty serious. I want to take another look. If you take a look at oil, it hasn't updated. Yes, it has. It's updated today. So it was as high as 85, but it's above this, it's above 80, which is a level of resistance, now support. And you know, we've got congestion here, but I don't really see it's any reason it couldn't go to 110. I mean, I just don't think it's blown out yet at all.
It looks kind of like a messy double bottom. What do you think?
I'm sorry, where do you
double bottom? Do you see on that 2016 low and the 2020 low, possibly?
Oh, I see what you see right here and here.
It's kind of uneven, but
this is too uneven to count like that. That's my opinion.
That's what I was curious about.
And treasuries, 20 plus year treasury bonds, not much today. And one remaining is the 10-year treasury yield. Okay, it's rising in a rising wedge formation here. We expect that to break down. The more prominent formation is this rising trend channel here, again, in my opinion, and it's looking very healthy, but we still could have some more pullback before it's higher.
Sure. a lot of support there for that rising trend, as you know, with the that support line sitting there at what, about 1550, 1560 there that you have. I think that between that and that rising bottoms trend line, I think we should be able to hold that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thought. That's my opinion.
Okay, and
All
I have
right.
covered it. Unless there are any questions, I'll turn it back to you.
Yep, I've asked mine. So certainly would love your input as we look at the sector candle glance. So this has all of these sectors all on one page. I absolutely love the way that we can do this. And really, you mentioned it, I think it might have been last week, the week before, about how all of the sectors were starting to really turn around. We were seeing positive momentum across the board, and that would bode well for the market, which it has. Right now, I can't see a whole lot of weakness here. Comm services are struggling a little bit, and that could be, we're going to talk Facebook shortly. Could be some of that going on with a little bit of rocky trading in that sector. And you can see it hasn't it got above that 50, but then immediately failed. So I would say weakness wise, when I look at XLC is really the main one that's showing a lot of weakness. We talked about consumer staples getting close to a silver cross. So I'm going to turn that one in here. And there you go, that 20-day EMA just about ready to pop above that 50-day EMA. So that would change that neutral signal on the sector scoreboard that we looked at earlier. It would turn that into a buy signal instead of a neutral.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, underneath the surface, it doesn't look too bad here. I just think there are better opportunities elsewhere, but you can see that there's still some upside potential here, probably another 2% gain before it hits that overhead resistance level. It'll be interesting. I've had some stocks I was looking at in this area, but they're just, you know, consumer staple stocks are just not sexy. Let's be honest here. There's not a lot of movement. They tend to be mostly sideways. And given that the market is really in a nice rising trend, I think that there are better choices right now. Utilities, go ahead.
On XLC, I want to go back to that. You notice what it looks like is it's forming kind of a rounded bottom, potentially a reverse head and shoulders, which so that is encouraging as well.
Yes.
Lots of room for improvement under the hood.
Looking under the hood, we do see that PMO though. It looked, it was topping on that candle glance. Like when we looked at it, it wasn't so clear, but we do have that bottom coming in above the signal line in oversold territory. But I really would want to see this silver cross start to turn up. There's possibilities there, but not a whole lot of them right here when you look at the participation, and it is starting to fail. Not quite oversold yet either. So more than likely, we're going to see this silver cross continue lower based on the participation we're currently seeing. And there you go. You can see that relative strength line for, I'm sorry, this is XLC. You can see that relative strength line is failing as well. So, I mean, I think that, you know, the comm services sector, there's certainly room for improvement, but it needs a lot of improvement here before I'd get really excited about it. All right. So I said that I would take a deep dive into utilities. I'll do that now, and I promise we'll look at Facebook and PayPal shortly. All right, so utilities, this was my sector to watch on Friday, and obviously we were down today, but some of the reasons that I was really focusing in on utilities was this double bottom, and we had gotten the execution above that confirmation line with that nice rally we had last week. You can see that the 20-day EMA is making its way for a silver cross on utilities. And then notice the difference here between the participation on comm services versus what we're seeing here in utilities. We have a nice rising silver cross index. And then notice that although we're seeing a little tip over here on participation, these numbers are still much higher than the silver cross. So that means that this could still continue rising. And we'll see what those numbers look like at the end of the day for utilities. But I still like it. We've still got some internal strength here, looking at the stochastics being above 80. But we haven't seen it really break out in a big way. And that's kind of what I'm looking for this week. This is kind of the sleeper sector, I think, moving forward this week. And if we do start to see problems with the market, staples, we just saw that they were starting to look a little bit healthier. But utilities is another place as well. And you know, one of my subscribers, I've been really not interested in utilities because of rising energy costs. And I think we've talked about it, Dad, that, you know, if the utility companies are going to have to pay a lot more for their energy, that this could be a problem. But I did have a subscriber write in and say that, you know, this package that's going through Congress, they took a lot of stuff out of it that would have been punitive damages, if you will, toward the utilities based on the type of energy that they're serving. And that's disappeared. So there does seem to be the little bit of wind at the back of utilities.
I think the thing to remember, and somebody commented, it's they pass the cost of their energy on to us as customers, regardless of what happens. So if they were to be punished with a fine or something, they'd pass it on to us.
Right. You know? Yeah. And here's inflation.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to pull up Facebook now and PayPal. So Facebook, big in the news today, obviously, because of the earnings that were being reported. Now, I don't, since this was just before the show, I don't have any details on earnings as far as Facebook goes. But one thing that I did look at was where it's trading right now after hours. Let me update this and see if it's still as good as it was looking. Okay, so it was up well over 3.5% when I was looking at it in after hours, and it's now starting to pull back a little in after hours trading. One of the cool things we can do here with Facebook. So the daily chart, just in general, I was telling people, you know, everyone always asks, do I hold through earnings? Should I hold through earnings? I don't recommend it. I think if you've got an intermediate term investment, you're going to, but on those shorter term trades, probably not a good idea. And one of the things, though, you can do to protect yourself, if you will, is to understand what the chart looks like before it reports earnings. And I have to say, when I looked at this chart, even before today's little rise, I wasn't really impressed with what's going on Facebook right now. Certainly the PMO, it looks like with today's move, might be bottoming above the signal line. But overall, you've got a big gap down. It looks like it could hold the 200-day EMA, but you can see that stochastics are failing here. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with Facebook, but I'm going to see if I can't pull up the after hours information here on a 5-minute chart. Extended hours, update. There we go. So you can see that after hours, certainly a big, interesting looking candlestick there to lead into it. But you can see that it did make that pop, but it's already starting to pull back after hours. After the earnings report, you can see the PMO, the 5-minute PMO turning down. So it's going to be interesting to see how what kind of follow-up we get, what kind of follow-up we might be seeing on Facebook tomorrow. But, you know, after hours trading looks somewhat good, but that pullback on that 5-minute does leave me a little bit concerned. PayPal there was discussion about a deal of buying Pinterest. And so everybody wanted to know what I thought of the PayPal chart this morning in the trading room. And I had to say, it's another one like Facebook, really not impressed with it. A lot of my subscribers to Diamonds, a lot of the trading room folks, they like to catch falling knives. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your thing, not my thing. I pointed out that there were a couple positives on this chart in that you could see that support is way down here. And we did get a reversal before it had to test this level of support. So that's a positive. The RSI is starting to rise again. Stochastics were really in the basement. There's still a lot of internal weakness until we can see stochastics turn up. And then you've got the relative strength studies here, and the group itself is not healthy. And you can see PayPal today outperformed the S&P somewhat, but has really been struggling against the S&P as well. So it's not something that I would be too excited about. It's not my diamond of the week, let's put it that way. I do have 2 diamonds of the week to bring you. I have one from the utilities sector, and that is in the water area. Didn't have much action today. Obviously, it fell just a little bit. But American Water Works is, if you look at this one on a monthly chart, I mean, this stock tends to do fairly well, throughout. If we've got inflation, who knows how that's going to affect it. But you can see overall, this is pretty healthy. You've got this possible flag on the weekly chart. You can see it's trying to make that turn. RSI is positive on the weekly chart, maybe not so much here on the PMO on that weekly chart, but I think that when I look at the daily chart for American Water Works, I really do like how it's shaping up with that PMO buy signal. RSI is now in positive territory, nice little double bottom here. We don't really have a confirmed move above that confirmation line though. We really need to see a more decisive move, maybe not decisive, that's 3% or more, but we certainly need to see it close above that confirmation line, and we just don't have that quite yet. But I think that the chart is firming up pretty well. You can see it's one of the better ones in its industry group. And then the other one we're seeing a lot of action in is consumer discretionary. So this one came up on one of my scans. And I'm going to put over here a 5-minute chart for Dick's Sporting Goods. But I saw this come up on the scan. I have to say, I was really liking the way this chart is shaping up. We have the RSI moving into positive territory. We have a nice rising trend, price above both those key moving averages. Stochastics are now above 80, which is overbought, but also tells you there's a lot of internal strength. OBV is rising with price. And then of course we have a nearing PMO crossover buy signal, which is nice, very positive. And you can see that this group itself is doing fairly well right now. It's starting to outperform. And you can see that Dick's Sporting Goods is, it's performing about as well as the S&P, but it is on a rising trend. We could see relative performance increase even more. But I really, when I saw this chart and I saw this nice little bottom here, possible reverse head and shoulders, that PMO definitely got me excited about the look of this chart. We're about out of time, so I'm going to wish everybody happy trading, and we'll see you next week.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.